Resource Committee meeting together at 2:16. Rise, please, Mr. Baker, will you do our prayer, please?
Yes. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time that we can come together and do the work of the Cherokee people. We ask your guidance and wisdom in our meeting today. We also ask for traveling grace for those who attend the meeting today and those who attend the meetings tonight. These things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
So, do the roll call.
Yes, sir. Curtis Snell.
Here.
Rex Jordan.
Here.
Gil England.
Honey.
Keith Austin.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Joe Byrd.
Honey.
Sean Crittenden. Don Garvin. Frankie Hargis.
Present.
Wanda Hatfield. Dick Lay. Janice Taylor.
Here.
David Thornton. Victoria Vespa.
Honey.
David Walkenstick. Brian Warner.
Honey.
We do have a quorum.
Moving on down, the approval of the minutes, June the 19th minutes.
Make a motion to be approved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And moving on down to reports, Management Resources, Bruce Davis.
Good afternoon, Council.
Hello, Bruce.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Baker just informed me that this would be his last meeting, and I know there's some others. I just want to say that it's been a privilege working with you. We've got a lot done. I've enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you on down the road in other events. So, like I said, it's been a pleasure. So,
Here goes Don,
yeah, Don.
David, and Curtis.
Yeah, Curtis, he's my neighbor, so I'll get to see him quite often. Okay, all right. You got my report. One of the things that I want to report is there were some pictures taken of the new clinic up on the hill. So if you got to see those, it's coming right along. The dirt work, I mean, they've poured some footings. It's really coming along on schedule, so that's a good thing. The other thing that I brought you a poster on this next event for us is our All Indian Rodeo, which will be July 29th. And I might mention that Mr. Councilman Snell was one of our original enrollees of this program. He was one of our original All Indian council members on that board. So I know this is dear to his heart. So I think I brought enough posters for everyone. So pass the word on. Take these back with you and let everybody know. I think all the information's on here. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Any questions, Bruce?
That's the end of this month, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, Councilman Buzzard.
Yeah.
Next week.
Bruce, there's a couple things I just want to talk about. I know I've talked about cattle before, and I'm still thinking that we need to get a plan for cattle, and I know we've submitted a resume or a copy of a plan, but I guess we haven't heard anything back from C&E.
Not to my knowledge, Harley.
Okay, the other thing is the pine trees. I know I have talked about those for years and years since I've been on the council. If you look at those pine trees up there, they're growing just like that. They're thick. And
Right.
try to get them thinned out and can't get them thinned out. But the pine trees are serving no purpose to the Cherokee Nation. All they're doing is growing. We must have had a plan when they planted the pine trees, but that plan is nowhere to be seen, or I don't know what we're going to do with it. For all purposes of those pine trees, might as well take a dozer and push them off. I mean, they're not doing us no good. Well, they're not doing anything other than taking up space, dropping pine cones on the ground, and then pine needles, just waiting for a fire. So, what I'm talking about is there anything we can do? I mean,
Well-
there's 1,200 acres of pine up there, and it's just sitting there. There's nothing being done. If they weren't there, if we pushed them down, at least we could have Bermuda grass and pasture for cattle.
That's
It's just
correct.
frustrating to have
It
that
is.
and nothing, no plan or nothing to get anything done with it.
I know that GV has talked to some lumber companies.
Yeah.
Can I defer that to GV?
Yeah, sure.
GV, would you tell them what we found out when we talked to those people?
Can I make a comment while
Oh, you
GB?
bet.
Back in the middle 80s, when Frank Farrell was over Natural Resources, I don't know if that was a committee that we called what you guys do now. we had all these fires up there in different counties, mostly the 5-county area. And his thinking was to plant these pine trees because they would grow faster. And now they've grown, and like Councilor Buzzer says, but what was the ultimate plan for that? Once they got to a certain height, we should have a plan in place maybe for lumber like you guys are talking about. But that's where it began. For you council members that may not know this, I remember this discussion back in 1987 when Frank Farrell was over the resource department there. You remember that, GV?
Yes. I looked up back history and read about it and everything. We had a contract with the BIA, basically plant those trees. They bought the trees, we
Yes.
provided the labor and the land. And then it was supposed to harvest them every so often, every other tree. And
Right.
to the 20th year, you would have a big tree to harvest at the end of the harvest. And so we've been trying to do an agreement with BIA to do that for a long time. It's been 30 years. And we never have reached an agreement with the BIA because when we got ready to harvest them, say the tree brings $20, the BIA wanted $18 of it because they had the initial investment in the tree. And we couldn't, I mean, this is before my time even, but they couldn't do it because they couldn't provide the labor at that expense, the time it took to harvest the trees and stuff like that to come out on the trees. And since then, those programs have been kind of dropped, and with Harley on everything, we've had several conversations about the trees and about the land. I think I've even brought it up about the pine trees we have up there. They're every 5 foot and every 12 foot apart. And so we just met this morning. I mean, it's a good question to bring up today because we've had USDA, 3 guys up there this morning. We met at 8 o'clock and we drove all over. They took measurements of the trees, how they measure the trees with a tape. And they go through the woods and they can almost pinpoint how many trees per acres in that cluster of trees. And so they're doing that. They're going to see if there's some funding available for us to start eliminating those trees, one at a time, or every other tree or whatever, and see if we can get some grassland back up there and get something done with these trees. We looked into harvest of those trees. We finally got one person come over here to look at it. All they could do was the shavings and pallets. And that's what they use the pine trees for. Now, when there's a need for it, trees are worth some money. When there's not a need for it, which very seldom there is a need for it because it's so abundant, they're not worth anything. And they even wanted us to pay to harvest the trees. And so the guy was going to follow up with me. It's been about 4 months ago. He's never called me back or anything. I've tried to make contact with him twice and haven't reached him about harvesting. But we do have probably 1,500 acres. Harley said 12. We estimated this morning we have about 1,500 acres of pine trees. And, we're looking into it, trying to find an alternative. I want to see the land in production. It means more money in my department that I don't have to straight and bar and fight for. And put that land in production, put it into the lease program. That's what we're yearning to do. And, it's most of the land the trees are on hilly country, up and down. Not very many trees are on the flat, open part. But, we lose the lease land. If there's a place for 1,000 acres, we only lease out to grazable acres. If that place only has 400 acres, then we lose 600 acres of lease land to the trees. And that's basically the fact in every lease that we have. Very seldom is there a lease with all grass. So we're not utilizing the full potential of the land, even with the lease program, because the trees are there and we can't profit from that. But that's where we're at right now. And,
Back to your first question. I want him to address that.
Okay. What was my first question? Cattle operation.
cattle operation. Well, I'm a pro cattle man. I own them and I love them. And I think there is a profit to them if it's handled right. I know Cherokee Nation has a past history. 2 times they've been given cattle free gratis, can't show no receipts on them at sale barns. You can't find anything in my department where we ever had a sale of anything. So basically, 400 head of cattle disappeared. I don't know how, when, and what. That's 30 years ago. But you know, the cattle market's been pretty stable. It's been really good up to, you know, we took a bad dip last year, but I still think the farmers are getting what the cattle are supposed to bring. I think at one time, you know, we were getting a lot more than the cattle were worth. Anytime you give $3 for a pound for a calf on the hoof, you know, it's good for the farmer. Oh yeah, but it's not going to last, because with that, your hay increase, cost of the hay, cost of the feed, cost of the salt and meal, and everything else that comes with it, cost of the pasture. Our leases went up almost 20%. I think a lot of it was due to the cattle market, which is good for Cherokee Nation. But I really believe there's a chance to make some serious money in the cattle market. We're surrounded by other tribes within a 200-mile radius that are successful. I think right now Cherokee Nation is probably the only tribe that I can find that's sizable, that can handle, you know, a market of 100 to 300 head of cattle. You know, the Choctaws down there, they grown leaps and bounds, and you know, they got 72,000 acres. Doyle told me down there they had 72,000 acres. They had several thousand cows, and they had 2,400 in a feedlot for the calves, and they're going big time.
I heard they run about 2,000 head.
Yeah. And they put them in a feeder system and feed them out. They're worth, you know, I mean, it's unreal what they get. We talked about the Quapaws up there. They have 200 head and 100 head of buffalo, and you know, even the creeks over here are getting involved with the cattle big time. And so there's money to be made. I want to say, I think with the administration you have here, and the leadership you have in the council, and the leadership you have in the chief, that it'd be a good management program. We proved it with the buffalo. You know, we took buffalo and put them somewhere they're not supposed to be. And yes, we lost a few, but we learned a lot, and we're still learning a lot. And we do what we need to do to make the buffalo look good, healthy, and be a good sight to go see, or whatever you want to do with them right now. I mean, we really try hard. We give everything we can to make it a good program. And I think the cattle would be a positive move. I mean, positive move. I was talking to Harley today, and just, you know, if the calves brought $800 a piece, and we got several cattlemen in here. I don't need to talk about it. I mean, y'all know what they bring. You know, they're bringing $1.35, $1.40 right now, 600-pound calf. I know I sold some Saturday. You know, I sold 3 calves for $2,400. You know, I mean, and, you know, it's just, you know, it's good. It's a good program. If you had, you know, a couple hundred head, I mean, Choctaws, they don't save their calves. They sold all their calves and they bought back cows, springing cows and calves by their side. So they was ready to hit the ground. They was ready to go to market in 6 months. They had to turn a profit and had, you know, 3 to 5 year program payback, or 3-year program. And then it's you know, we have some land, you know, we got leased out right now, and it's another 4 years, basically 4.5 years left on the leases. But I just think that you have some real good management up here to do this, and see a good program with the cattle evolve into a real profitable situation for, I know the Choctaws, they don't go to the budget hearings, they don't do anything with the cattle program. It's self-sufficient. They don't bale their hay, they buy their own hay. They bought 42,000 acres in land made from the cows last year. So I'm just saying.
Mr. Chair, but if GB could get the Choctaw director to come up and talk about their farming operation, could we put it on next month's agenda for a 25-minute presentation? If GB can arrange it.
We can do that. We can also have somebody from their department be at the intertribal this week. We'd sure like to hear from them.
Oh, they'll be there. They'll be there.
Okay.
The other thing that I've got, and I've just got a couple more, is the garden. You're probably tired of me talking about the garden, but we need to be more agriculture minded here at the Cherokee Nation. We've got thousands of acres of land, and we don't do anything with agriculture as far as us doing crops. And I'm talking about not a large operation, but I'm talking about enough to supply our elders that are food distribution centers, even our casinos that we have going for fresh vegetables, those type of markets like that. So I just want to put it back out there that I'm going to keep on for the next 4 years and talk about it. Maybe something will get done that we can do something.
I know Harley, the Pawpaws, and I've seen this with my own eyes, they got 8 greenhouses. They supply all the condiments for their casinos. I mean, right there out of their 8 greenhouses. They got a lot of people working there, and they put out a good product. It's a healthy product. It's USDA approved, you know. And now they're going into a packing house, and they're going to be supplying everything, turnkey job for them.
And also, I went down and looked at the aquaponic system and saw the little greenhouse in there, which it just needs a little bit more work, a little more tender loving care. That could be a producing greenhouse that would make a lot of dang stuff go. Yeah,
That's just one employee, Harley.
there's one employee, so there's potential there. I just think we need to have the dedication to do some agriculture work. I'm also talking about 4-H, FFA, kids like that need those opportunities. So if you can support those kids in our community assistance money or any type of money, please do that. The last thing I want to talk about is recycled, Bruce. I don't know if that's in your department or
It is.
what.
It is.
What brought this up is I looked at all that material down there.
Right.
And it could be recycled. A lot of that stuff could be taken off and cleaned up.
We're talking about at the warehouse?
Yeah, at the warehouse.
Facilities warehouse?
Yeah. So, not only that, I'm talking about paper goods and things like that too. All that stuff could be recycled, so. Anyway, that's kind of my little rant for today is to bring it back up to make sure that we keep it on the front burner. If we could get at Five Tribes meeting, Joe, if we could do something like that with the presentation, or if we can't, like GB to set it up and have him come and talk directly to this committee about what the Choctaws are doing with their farm operations there. Anyway, we'll see then. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Steve.
Councilman Thornton.
Thank you. As far as the farming group, it looks like to me there'd be several different grants with federal government on farming. And I don't know, I guess y'all look into those to see if they have them. But I'm gonna go back to the trees. And what you're saying primarily is that the BIA controls the trees situation? They own
we
the
met with them
trees?
90 days ago. They don't have a problem with us harvesting the trees now or anything like that to clean up the trees. If there's a profit to be made or any share money concerns, then they get involved.
Now, we do own the land that they're on, though. It's Cherokee Nation on it.
Yeah, we actually got.
Well, what would be wrong with just letting the BIA take the tree situation over and let them cut them and get rid of them? Clear the land.
We probably could. I think we're caretakers of the land. They lease us 59,000 acres plus to us, Cherokee Nation. That's basically what we
Yeah.
get from the BIA.
And then that probably wouldn't cost us anything. They'd get what they're looking for. And if you need something to put that in motion, I'm sure you can get some type of resolution for them to do that.
Well, why don't we make a proposal to those guys to see if they'd be willing to do that? You said earlier $18 to them, two to us. Well, they're heavy negotiators with us. Why don't they negotiate on our behalf in Washington, D.C. and try to up that budget just a little bit?
I first got in, I tried to do something. We even went to the BIA over in Muskogee and met with them, got nowhere. And then we come back, rehashed it again for about 6 months later. And they come over here and we didn't get nowhere. And then last year they come back, told us how much land they were giving us to use. And, they'd like to see something done with the trees too, but, we still have to go through them. There's been never an agreement, completed agreement where the Cherokee Nation BIA are on the same page. And it's not, that's not in my department, but, it's been worked on several times and several chances, been taken trying to correct it, but we have never reached a resolution of it.
Of course, I won't be here, but I'd like to see them coming from the council, see what they tell us, and what you could do about it.
Sure.
If it gets down to it, you could mandate it.
Is Sarah Hill not here today?
That's what I was gonna ask. Sarah Hill.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
But that problem, like Councilor Buzzard said, that problem needs to be taken care of.
Yeah.
It's been going too long. And as far as I'm concerned, this council could probably take care of it if they would. Thank you.
Councilman Burton.
Yes, on the buffalo, I've been asked if we had any intentions of putting any of those there at Sequoia's cabin in the field, or would be a possibility here around Marcoma for just like for tourism, come into Cherokee County. Is that a possibility?
That's a possibility.
Oh, it's been a problem, yeah.
We've talked about it before, Joe.
Yeah.
We just gotta have the direction, and say.
I've had chamber people ask me that, from a tourist standpoint, why not have those as a show, as people coming into this area here to see
We
that?
talked about that.
I said, I don't know. I said, I'll ask, so.
When we first got them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it.
Chris dragged me by my belt loops one time
Okay.
about putting them down here.
Anyway, you guys have a lot under your belt there to look at. Every time we ask a question, you guys are, and I just see you two all the time. I hope you have the staff and the budget to take on all
You
these
mentioned that
requests
budget.
that we're
Since you
asking.
brought that up, budget.
But we're not trying to increase the
Important
budget.
word.
We're kind of like the docs, production and you
Yeah.
get the raise. That's how that works.
Well, I
But
think.
the more patients you see,
Well, it starts
we can give you, talk
well,
about that
it's-
budget.
It starts with you people. You're the backbone of Cherokee Nation here. You're the representation for the people out here that don't get a chance to come and be a voice. So you're a representative, and, it was a concern, everything natural resources and Bruce has allowed me to do or asked me to do or pushed me to do or whatever is we done it and we stayed within our budget since 2012. Yes, we do get some benefits from the hay program. Yes, it brings in enough money to buy the food for the buffalo and everything. So it's been a good trade out. We're not losing money on none of the programs, don't get me wrong, but we have to really watch our constraints and our budget and our ties. And South Salt Creek Park, we spend a lot more money and time down there than we ever have, and
Well,
it's-
thank Mr. Thornton for that.
Oh, yeah, I can't say enough for David to what he's done for South Salt Creek Park down there. And gonna miss him immensely.
Thank you.
I am. It's gonna be nice. Still haven't heard anything on the grant. We're waiting. Just talked to him at noon and called him while they were eating dinner and asked him about the grant. And they said, we've got to find out something pretty soon. So, and that's the water and sewer grant and bathrooms. But basically, it's I just, it's a pleasure to come to work, pleasure to do these things, and pleasure to help y'all out when I can with your needs and concerns out here for the constituents. And we're not the only department that does that, but we do a lot of it. And it's the cattle deal. I don't see it costing Cherokee Nation nothing. I say within 3 years we have the cattle in the black, at least by 4 years, and we'll be making money. Serious money.
Councilman Crittenden.
Hey, GV, talking about the cattle, and in your discussions, don't forget about that Tyson, the old Tyson building at Stillwell. If you ever get into some processing discussions and things, and like Harley was saying with the vegetable supplying, we're just talking right now, but, we've got plenty of restaurants and stuff. If we ever get into the processing side,
Yeah.
of course, I'm always vying for Adair County employment and stuff, but there's an empty processing building sitting out there.
That's a good point.
But just I appreciate you bringing that up sometime in your discussion. Thank you.
Councilman Walkenstick.
The cattle, we've been talking about this for years, Bruce.
We have.
And Harley, stay persistent. And hopefully in the future, we might see the Cherokee Nation doing cattle, so it's just what it takes. So, and I understand the situation that you're in. So that's all. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Any more questions?
I have.
Yes.
Bruce, I had, I think I
needs to be
to you for a driveway. I'll put an email to you. but I
She's
don't-
good, no, she's good.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Council Lady Janice, did you need to?
No, sir.
She's good.
No, thank you, ma'am.
Miss Jen, good report, guys.
Any more,
Thank you.
any more questions? Thank you, JV. Thank you, Bruce. Moving on down to Brother Tom Elkins.
Ginger.
Ginger.
We'll move down again then.
Move back up, Ginger.
Yeah, we better get back up and get,
We'll go ahead and let Tom go.
Good afternoon. I think it's probably obvious that I'm not Tom Elkins. I'm here on Tom's behalf. He couldn't make it today. And Ms. Hill unfortunately won't be able to make it today as well. So I'll be happy to answer all the questions that I can. And for those I can, I will get you the answer.
Councilor Buzzard, you talked about something, recycling?
Yeah.
Is that a question we could ask?
Does that fall under any of your businesses of recycling?
Well, I think it's currently under, we worked initially on some of the legislation that was passed, and then it was management facilities that actually maintains the program. But they are currently, as far as my knowledge, recycling paper and cardboard here at the complex, and some of the outlying offices as well.
Okay.
I know they're looking to expand that. To what extent, I don't know.
I do have another question, sir.
yes.
You say Sarah, I mean, Sarah's not here today.
No, sir.
Last month, we talked a little bit about cemeteries and ground penetrating radars system, and I understand that Willard Mounts, Willard, there's a report here.
Nobody's here.
We had talked about some extra dollars that I think Councilman Baker brought up that was in Sarah Hill's budget. Because Willard doesn't get paid to do any of this GPR work. He does it on his own, takes annual leave on his days off. Our thinking was is maybe next year's budget that she could budget a person to actually do that stuff. So hopefully next month Sarah can come and give us an update on where she is on maybe putting that into her budget. So if you'd relay that information to her, I'd appreciate it. Because I think it's a service that's well needed. Just a little example of what happened in Delaware County. The cemetery had requested GPR services for 5 years. Willard couldn't get to it because he just doesn't have that time and he's not paid to do these services. He finally went up and did it about 10 days ago, and I think he found 45 or 50 graves that was unmarked. So he goes over near Grove to this Butler Cemetery, and it's an Indian community. And he checks that and he found 300 graves that weren't marked. So there's a need for it out there. There's really a need for it out there because personally, and the other councilors probably wouldn't want somebody to go in and dig up a grave where their mother was buried. And I know some of my folks are not marked. There used to be rocks there, then they're gone, but you know, it's important. It may not seem like a lot, but I think it would be a lot to a person that had people in those graves. They don't know where they are, you just don't, and they don't know where they are, but at least we can get them marked. So if you would pass it on to Sarah and make sure that she takes a look at her budget, because there was some extra money that was got from Sheila Bird's activity that I didn't think was being used, so, and she has it, so you'd pass that on.
Yeah, I certainly will.
Okay.
I know in the
Thanks,
past
sir.
we've worked with Michael on some of the roads projects too.
Okay,
And so, yeah, it's a very resourceful tool.
okay, thank you. Thanks, sir.
Yes, Mr. Walkenstick, Councilman.
Can you guys do a mold assessment on the Highway 51 water and sanitation building? The employees, Bruce, this contains you as well. Some of the employees over there, you guys may be familiar with it.
Stick on this too, we've already done that, and it was all cleared.
Okay.
Yeah, our office conducted one on that just a few weeks ago.
Did you guys, like, because the employees said they see mold. Like they see mold collecting around where the air conditioner, I guess it's probably condensation in
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
or
sometimes that's
moisture.
just condensation attracting the dust particles.
Yeah.
And it looks like mold when it's really not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they did some tape sampling. That's where they actually put a piece of tape on there and pull those off and then send them to a lab for analysis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the employees, they were asking to do that. So I'll relay the information back to the employees.
Certainly, and we can always do follow-up if needed.
Okay. And the other thing, what Speaker Byrd was talking about and Councilman Buzzard, could we write a resolution as far as the purchasing of certain materials on supplies, like no plastics or?
I brought that up 2 months ago. Well, Tom Elkins was giving a report. I said, Tom, could you do an assessment how the council just out of our office, if we just started buying recycling products, and I never did hear back, but maybe we need to do that on our own.
It may be
No,
something.
we'll be happy to follow up with that, and take that a little bit further. We've discussed when Career Services has their tarot fair, of trying to get some tarot vendors in there that can offer those type of products as well. So yeah, we certainly could follow up.
Sure, I appreciate that.
Yes.
Because and we could follow up with some kind of go green resolution.
Starts at home.
Yeah.
Exactly right, yes.
All right. Well, we look forward to hearing back from you next month on that.
Okay, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any more questions for Tom?
What is your name, sir?
I'm sorry, Wayne Isaacs. I thought I said that.
Hey, what is your name, sir?
Wayne Isaacs.
Wayne Isaac, okay. Thank you, Wayne.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions? Wayne, thank you, good report.
Thank you.
And Miss Ginger Brown, is Ginger Brown here?
She's here somewhere. Oh, there she is.
Good afternoon. Hello, Ginger. If you have my report, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Any questions for Ginger?
Good report, Ginger.
Good report.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I'm glad we waited for that. Moving on down to Miss Sarah Hill's not here, is she?
She's not here.
Moving down to old business, none pending. New business. Somebody do, walk a stick, you up on, please.
Thank you, Chairman. This is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation to lease tribal trust land to the One Fire Association, the Kenwood Community Building and ball fields contain 11.81 acres. And I'd like to put that into the form of a motion.
Second.
Any questions?
I'm just curious what this is. Is this our One Fire Domestic Violence, or is this another group with the same name? Does anybody know?
The One Fire.
Ginger?
It is not the same one.
Okay.
It's another one. It's a group from that community. Joel, do you want to address that? Who all the players are in that community?
I know a few. Yeah, they're not the same One Fire as what the consider that. Anthony Proctor is the folks that we're dealing with right at this moment. So, but we're going to lease the building for a lot of the community buildings were leased for 25 years or longer, but this one we're going to do, I think, a 5-year lease to start off with to make sure everything goes smooth. I think there's some other questions regarding possible expansion of the Kenwood School and everything in that same area for the ball field side of it. So,
Is he the president of the association?
yes,
Is it a Cherokee community group?
yes.
or- Okay, all right. Very good. That's all I have.
Yes.
Where's the Kenwood community? Do they have their building? Do they have a president and how are other communities are set up? Does the Kenwood have a community that's set up with a board?
Yes.
Yes.
Anthony's the president.
Anthony Proctor. Okay, so is this the same, this one fire is the same, no?
No, they just
No,
said that.
We just,
Were you asleep?
I'm sleeping,
Talked about
yes.
all of this.
Well, so what's their thoughts on this? The Kenwood Community Board, what's their, are they in favor of this, or?
They're asking for this. This is
Is
their request.
It's their request.
Yes. Yeah, they're trying to get, to make sure the food program stays in place and everything remains the same down in that area, so.
Yeah, we're good. Thank you, Chair. Did anyone
No
second,
questions.
anybody
Call for the
second
question.
that?
Any
Call for
questions?
the question, please.
Yeah, we got a motion. So.
All in favor of this motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next one.
And we'll move on down to, Joe, would you take it?
Yes, I will. Resolution authorizing transfer Cherokee Nation trust lands to mutual health home participants in trust. Put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions?
What county is that?
Delaware.
Okay.
Any questions? All in favor?
I got a question.
Aye.
Wait. Oh, yes, Harley.
Is this Beverly Caldwell, is she Cherokee citizen?
I'm
on the mutual help home, yes, she is.
She is. Thanks, sir.
No questions? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on down to announcements. Next meeting is August the 15th. And this will be my last day here to do this resource committee. I've been doing it for 10 years and I thank everybody. And I'll see you later.
Kirsch, we're gonna miss you.
We've got rules though on the 27th. I think you'll be here.
He's not gonna chair it, is he?
Here we go. Have y'all read that motion? I make. Aye.